I hate to break it to you, but there might be an easier way for you to be using Lightroom catalogs. Let me show you the method that I've been using since 2010 to stay organized and to always know where my edited files are. Hey, I'm Jen, and I help people with all aspects of photography and videography. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Lightroom Classic, how to set up your catalogs, how to organize your files, and a few more tips I have up my sleeve. A quick note before we get started. Today I'm going to be using Lightroom Classic, which is the computer application that Adobe provides to edit photos, not Lightroom, the cloud-based program that is meant for photographers on the go. All right, now that we've got that cleared up, let's begin by learning how Lightroom functions. Lightroom catalogs are created when you open Lightroom. Think of a catalog as a workspace. It'll default to opening the last Lightroom catalog you had open, or if you've never created one, it will do so in the Pictures folder. You import your files into Lightroom Classic and begin to edit. As you edit, Lightroom doesn't actually alter your original file. Instead, it creates a sidecar file that you'd like the exported final file to include. These secondary sidecar files are .xmp files and will automatically get stored in the same location as the original file. The great thing about this is that your original file never gets altered, and years later you can come back to that same file and begin fresh. Once you're ready to export the image to share, you'll choose the file type you prefer, usually JPEG, but sometimes PNG or TIFF. Lightroom will apply that blueprint of adjustments and metadata and export the new file to the location that you choose. So yay, you're done editing. So now you can back up those files onto an external hard drive or onto the cloud, and then you can delete them off your computer forever, right? Here is where things go wrong. The next time they open that Lightroom catalog and want to come back to that image, they'll get an error message saying that the file cannot be found because it was moved. Lightroom will read that XMP file, that blueprint, with your original image as long as it stays in the same location as it was when you first started with Lightroom. So the second you move those images off of your computer and onto a hard drive and then deleted them, now Lightroom cannot find the image. It doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know that you moved it to the hard drive or to online storage, so it can't make that connection. So the obvious thing would be to just leave all these images on your computer and never move them, right? Except, especially if you're shooting in RAW, these files are enormous and your computer's hard drive will quickly fill up and really creating a bummer situation for when you want your computer to run fast. On top of that, as the cycle continues and you keep adding more and more images into that original Lightroom catalog, the Lightroom catalog itself will get bogged down and sometimes it will crash. Next, I'm going to tell you all about my tried and true way that I like to organize my Lightroom catalogs. But before I do, make sure you hit that like button, go down to the comments, and let me know how you currently set up your Lightroom catalog. Do you just have one living on your computer, or do you create new ones? That's what we're going to go over next. Now let's go over my Lightroom method that I've been using for a really long time. It is what I use to keep my files organized, my system running smoothly, efficiently, and never getting those dreaded error messages. We're going to start by organizing the image files from my camera. As a professional photographer, I only shoot RAW files, and I prefer to edit off of external hard drives. I'll link my favorites in the description below. After I photograph a session, I create a new folder on my external hard drive. I use the structure year-month-day event name. It's important to use this exact structure to keep the folders on the hard drive organized by date. I'll refer to this folder as the project going forward. Inside the project, I create a new folder called RAW and load in all the RAW files from the session. I'm a huge proponent of culling in Photo Mechanic or Narrative Select before loading any files into Lightroom. Both programs render quicker than Lightroom, and the rating systems allow me to effectively choose my picks. After culling, I create another folder inside the project and label it Pics. Culled images get moved to this folder. Next, I open Lightroom Classic. It'll default to the last catalog I worked in. Instead of importing my images, I'm going to go File, New Catalog. I'm going to name it Lightroom dash and then whatever my event name is, and make sure that it lives in the project. Lightroom will close and reopen. It's now a fresh catalog with 0 images, a fresh workspace. I'll import the files from the Pics folder. Up top, I'll choose Add instead of Copy. This will simply add the RAW files right from the location they live inside the Pics folder instead of making an unnecessary copy that eats my hard drive space. Now I can apply any metadata and make my adjustments Once finished, it's time to export. I choose my settings and file type. I make sure the location is inside the project. I create a new folder named Final JPEGs. That's it. Export those beauties. Next time I do a session, I'll repeat the process. I'll create a fresh projects folder and a new Lightroom catalog for that specific session. Here's why I like this method. It keeps the number of images in my Lightroom catalog low, which helps the system run smoother. I never have to guess where my images, my Lightroom catalog, my XMPs, my pics, my JPEGs, I never have to run to where any of it is. It is all neatly packaged inside the project folder. If I need to go back and re-edit something or re-export something, I can go straight to that Lightroom catalog. It's going to pull it up. It's automatically going to pull that XMP file, that blueprint over the top of my image, and I can just simply export it. Or if I need to start over, I can clear the settings and start over on my raw file. But I know exactly where all of it is, even years down the road. And I know what you're thinking, Jen, can't I just create a new Lightroom catalog and load those XMP and those original files back in and it'll all take care of itself? Yeah, you totally could. And if that's the way you want to do it, great. You do not have to save every single Lightroom catalog. But what I do think is important is that you start a brand new catalog for each project you have, instead of having one central Lightroom catalog on your computer that you dump all of your projects into, and then it just becomes a disorganized, messy mess. And I know what else you're thinking, but I use one giant catalog, but I use folders and smart collections, and I have my own system for organization. And you know what? Great. If that's how you want to live your life, go for it. No, I'm totally kidding. If that works for you and that's the method that you like, please, by all means, do it. This is the beauty of being human. We all have different ways of doing things that make sense to our brains. For me personally, I really like my things organized and I like them in order. And in order to do that, this is the method that works best for me. I know where the files are. If I can help one person stay organized, I have done my job. Before you go, be sure to like this video and subscribe so that you can get all of my tips on photography and videography related things. I'm a photographer and a videographer, and I actually love teaching photographers who are maybe looking for a new creative way to challenge themselves, how to add video to the services that they offer their clients. And I'm not talking just wedding videos. I'm talking about working with small businesses. I'm talking about working with families. I'm talking about working with engaged couples. You can create videos for anything. And let me tell you that it is a creative breath of fresh air for some of you that might be getting burnt out on what you're currently doing. Believe me, I've been there. I have a whole story about that. That's for another video. Be sure to check on my resources down below to find out more information about how you can learn video. All right, see you in the next one.